252 million years ago, the Earth almost died. It was not a blow from space and not a sudden flash in the sky. The planet slowly killed itself, and stopping this was impossible. Out of every 10 living creatures, fewer than one survived. The oceans emptied, the forests burned, and the very air turned to poison. Almost no films are made about this catastrophe, and it is rarely mentioned in school textbooks. Museums do not tell of it the way they tell of the death of the dinosaurs. Yet it was this event that nearly severed the entire line of life on Earth. And the cause was not some accident from the depths of the universe. The cause was a piece of land that today sleeps beneath the snows of Siberia. To understand what happened there, we need to return to a world we barely know. This was long before the first dinosaurs. Back then, everything we call dry land was gathered into one enormous continent. Scientists gave it the name Pangaea, a single landmass surrounded by a single ocean. Inside lay scorching deserts, while dense forests stretched along the humid edges. The Earth was ruled by another dynasty, the therapsids, distant ancestors of future mammals. Among them were heavy plant eaters and predators with curved fangs. At the top of this world stood the gorgonopsians, large beasts with saber-shaped teeth. Life seemed sturdy, for it had already survived hundreds of millions of years. Nothing hinted that almost all of it would soon vanish. But deep beneath the Siberian crust, something was already rising that would overturn the planet. And then Siberia split apart. From the depths of the planet, a giant plume of molten material pushed upward. It burned through the Earth's crust, and lava poured out. But this was not the eruption of a single familiar volcano. The fissures stretched across thousands of kilometers over the entire north of the future continent. The lava flowed not for years and not even for centuries, but for hundreds of thousands of years. It flooded an area comparable in size to an entire continent. Geologists still find the frozen flows of that age today. They are called the Siberian Traps, the stone steps of an ancient catastrophe. And the greatest danger lay not in the lava itself. The real threat rose along with the gases that burst out from beneath the ground. Magma forced its way through ancient underground deposits of coal and salt. It burned them in the depths and hurled enormous volumes of gas into the sky. Carbon dioxide, methane, and toxic sulfur compounds entered the atmosphere. The planet began to overheat, but this was only the first link in a long chain. The temperature rose slowly and almost imperceptibly, yet without mercy. Warm water holds less oxygen, and the oceans began to suffocate. In the depths, bacteria multiplied that released poisonous hydrogen sulfide. In places, it rose to the surface and poisoned the air near the shores. The water grew acidic and ate away at the shells of sea creatures. One disaster dragged another behind it, and there was no one left to stop it. On land, the picture was no easier. Forests that had grown for tens of millions of years died from heat and drought. Without living roots, the soil was washed by rain into rivers and seas. There are layers from that age with almost no trace of plants at all, an entire chapter of history in which the planet seemed to go bald. The gorgonopsians, so recently masters of the land, vanished forever. The largest died first, for they needed too much food. The world emptied before one's eyes, and almost no refuge remained. When it was all over, about 90% of marine species had perished. On land, more than 2/3 of all vertebrate animals disappeared. This is the largest extinction in the entire history of our planet. Scientists still argue about what exactly delivered the main blow. Some blame the overheating, others the suffocation and poisoning of the oceans. Most likely, several causes acted at once, layered on top of one another. But almost all agree on one common conclusion. The trigger of the catastrophe was precisely the splitting of Siberia. And yet life did not vanish completely. Among the ruins of the Old World, a few survived. One of them was Lystrosaurus, a small and stocky plant eater. An unremarkable animal, neither the strongest nor the fastest. But it was creatures like this, plain and modest, that inherited the emptied world. For a time, Lystrosaurus filled almost all the land of the planet, and in the freed space, entirely new forms of life began to rise. Among them were the first ancestors of the dinosaurs. The Permian catastrophe changed the course of evolution forever. Without it, the world might still be ruled by the ancestors of mammals. And here is what makes one think the hardest. The Earth was almost killed then, not by a meteorite and not by some outside force from space. It was nearly destroyed by what burst out from within itself. A change in the makeup of the air, warming, poisoned seas, all of this has happened once before, and the planet remembers well how it ended. So, what do you think? Is life capable of surviving something like this again? Write in the comments what struck you most in this story.